Where is the internet? Where is the internet? It's a question that might seem silly. It's in the air. But is it in your phone? Is it on your computer? Is it on your smartwatch? On your refrigerator? Where is the internet? I think that contextualizing the internet as a place is one of the most important steps to beginning to understand the function of the internet in our own lives. Because right now, to me, it functions as an unreal place. It's a place that everybody seems to spend a pretty good amount of time. Some people, all of their time. Where is it? Where does that time spent on the internet go? Where are we? Are we in our bodies? Are we sitting still? I just saw a good meme and it said, gamers will really say, let's fucking go, and then sit in place for 6 hours. That is a good way of understanding this. Your body is doing nothing. As I've said before, the great Hamlet line, I could be bound in a nutshell and count myself a king of infinite space. Where is the internet? Where is this infinite space that we spend our time in? I see it a few different ways. I see it as a web, as the web of the digital anima, as the labyrinth of the digital minotaur, both places where people go in and get lost or get stuck and devoured by digital monsters. But I think one of the most useful might be to see it as a kind of fairy tale woods, where you can find a very wise character. You can find a wise man who's going to help you on your journey. Or you can find a wicked witch who's going to try to eat you up. You can find tricksters, you can find friends. It's all different sorts of things, but it is a place. It is a place with rules. They might not be the rules of reality, but there is a way of contextualizing our usage of the internet as a place. We've called them for a while internet forums, and the forum was actually a place. It was an ancient Greek and ancient Roman thing. Everybody'd get together and talk. It was a forum, a place where you'd go to talk. Is there a similarity to that now? Do we know what you can't feel the forum. You can't feel the fellows that are beside you or overhear conversations. There's a solipsism to a lot of internet usage. The idea that what we are doing is so not so unreal that it's foolish to contextualize it. It's like pooping. It's like, it's an embarrassment. It's something we don't care about. It's just something you happen to do. When you're on your phone, where are you? Because we know that your body's sitting right there, but the other you, where is that? What's it doing? Are you astrally projecting onto the website? Is user interface, architecture, mental architecture? These are questions that we should be asking. We should understand where our mind is. I think this is one of the great things about books. And I do think everybody reads books very differently. But at least when I read a book, or when I used to read a book as a kid, when I used to like fiction a lot, you'd feel that you were in that place. You can feel that you are in the place of the book. I think that the internet has very effectively camouflaged that. A lot of people talk about the immersive experience, that VR is the immersive experience, that we want to be immersed in another world and not be reminded of where we are. The joke being that that's already the case. That's already what the internet is. If it wasn't, you would know what you were doing. You would know where you were. in the sense that the internet is hypnotic. It is immersive. It is an immersion into another world. I also like to think of it as not only a fairy tale woods, but as a fairyland, a place where time is not time, where normal laws of reality do not apply. And, what feels like a minute spent there, hours, days, years have gone by in the real world. The internet is a place where you can lose a lot of time. And I think it's clear time and space function very differently online, which is why I tend to see it as a mythical place. It's not just an updated forum. It's not just a technological forum. It is a fairy place where you can speak to people thousands of miles away. You can look at ancient things at, the click of a finger. We have access to all things in this space. We can hop from vision to vision, from media to media, from person to person at a moment's notice. Space is not space and time is not time. It is such a drastically different experience than reality. And it might sound obvious. This sounds obvious. The internet's really different from how I live my life. Yes, it is. But where is it? Where are you living? Where are you going when you're online? This is why I have developed my myth of the internet with MemeAnalysis.com. I offer a kind of mythological reading of the internet as a web, as a labyrinth, as a machine, as a UFO, an internet UFO. All of these are simply beginning to look at the locality of the digital. I had a piece with Default Friend last year or the year before where I talked about the internet as a fairyland, as a dark woods. I'm curious what you all experience. Do you have a way of contextualizing your internet usage? I realized I was not preaching at you enough, so I'm going to say more. In fairy tales, in stories of the fairies, food is something to be extremely careful of. When you take food from fairies, you are kind of doomed to stay in the fairyland. You can't leave. Now, you know the saying, you are what you eat. And in some ways, memes, ideas, digital ideas are the food of this other world. And when you consume it blindly, you are giving up your material body. And this is really the big question, I suppose, as to why does it matter that the internet is a place? What matters is that if you are sitting still or laying down and using the phone or the computer, all day, or for a really solid chunk of the day, don't you want to know what you're actually doing? What you're spending that time doing? I think it's very naive and foolish to say, oh, I'm not doing anything. I'm just on the internet, bro. You're not. You're in some bizarre, strange place. And it's vitally important to understand it. To know the rules. If you don't know the rules, you're doomed. If you went to Fairyland and you accepted food, you would be doomed to stay in Fairyland forever. They'd probably eat you. If you go to Olympus or to Hades and you violate some arcane law, is this not like the rule of horror stories where you go to this place but you touched something and now you're done. Now the killer's going to get you. There's a fair reality to that. They say ignorance of the law is not an excuse. And I think that this is true of the internet. It's foolish to assume that simply because there are unwritten laws, or that, the only visible or experiential thing seems to be like a banning or a canceling or whatever, a blocking. This is nothing. That's nothing compared to the greater unnatural laws that exist in that space. Every space has laws, has natural law. You know, it operates on a certain set of principles and foundations. It's how the thing works. The internet is no different. Even though, you know, everybody's using a different internet in a way, there are still universal internet laws. Though they're not usually, sometimes they're even counterintuitive. Not only not based on nature, but in direct opposition or in a totally different space from true natural law. Why should we continue to ignore it and continue to be punished by the experience of using the internet? I find that many people find the internet to be an unrelenting pain and struggle. It's an addiction. It's this and that. You know, clearly you can recognize it as a negative function, but why? And don't just say the brain. The brain is not enough. Does the brain accept, it's not just a brain in a vat, it's experiencing something. Understand that. Understand what you are, where you are, what you are eating, what you're doing. All of this should, I think, deeply be thought upon. We must be conscious in the way that we utilize these astounding tools. For they're drugs. They're consciousness expansion. It's consciousness expansion. It's consciousness it's astral projection. It's all of the things that magicians and philosophers dreamed of for centuries, and we have it in the palm of our hands. But where do we go? I've also said that it's like the unconscious, that psychoanalysis offers an important interpretation of the internet. All of these things are but tools to grasp the self in the context of the digital. Memes are the way that we express ourselves in this other world, a strange new language. If we want to understand the place, it's good to understand the language, which is why I always end my videos by saying, remember, memes matter.